All right, it's Curtis Mark. We're at Utility Security Magazine. We're live from ISC West, and I'm joined by Jerry Burhans from ALCEA. Jerry, what's going on with utilities in ALCEA right now?
A lot of stuff. I can't tell you how excited we're here to be at ISC West in 2025 and how fantastic the utility security business is going. We really appreciate our sponsorship with the Utility Security Magazine. It's really helped us promote our message to all the utilities across North America. But yeah, business is great, and we're getting a lot of great feedback.
Excellent. That's awesome to hear, and we likewise appreciate the support from ALCEA, and it helps us continue to report and provide this type of content and news and information to our valuable audience. We already reported on our in our last issue. ALCEA released a white paper on NERC CIP compliance. I just want you to generally about how the technology is evolving to make compliance easier for utilities.
Sure. It starts with actually listening to the voice of the customer. And in that particular white paper that we released, we actually worked very closely with the integrator and the utility, and we spoke to them over a long period of time. They obviously had a successful deployment of our partner brand Obloy Security throughout their utility, which is a major utility here in the United States. And we were able to learn valuable lessons. They learned from us, we learned from them, and it became very influential on future projects and how we go to market strategy and also, having more successful deployments, down the road. And being able to download that off of our website and with Utility Security Magazine promoting it really gives us more, reach throughout the entire utility market within the United States, whether you're big or small.
Yeah, yeah, it's a great paper, and if you go out onto the ALCEA website, take a look at it. They provide some great insights on how you can maintain compliance with NERC CIP, which I know is a focal point for all of our listeners. One trend I keep hearing here at IC West is how security solutions are quickly evolving, and technology is evolving to provide more comprehensive solutions that serve different purposes across many areas of an organization. I think a utility example might be AI and cameras that can spot when a worker's not wearing their hard hat. For Alcea, how are your products evolving to offer operational value to utilities?
Sure. Well, uh, if you're listening to this podcast, that was a long question. So Curtis always makes this really easy for me. So, but no, the real answer to that, Curtis, and to the listeners, is that when you get into a complicated critical infrastructure facility, they're very unique. There could be new areas, new scopes where they need new technology, and then there's a mix of old buildings, old things that they have that they still need to communicate with, retrofit with, what have you. So it's a very unique environment. And obviously, in the security industry, being technology based, things are evolving every day. What's new today is going to be old next week. So you really have to again listen to the customer, but not only listen, but going out and working with them on proof of concepts, whether there are core products or it's an integration or collaboration with somebody else. Like I bring up our Nina Foundry collaboration on pressure release manhole covers. That was 5 years, and that came out of a necessity for a city in the United States, a city utility, and we listened. We worked with them over a couple of years, and we came out with a finished product. Now, is that finished product going to be the thing that they're going to need tomorrow? Well, guess what? It wasn't. Another city needed a pressure release lid, and Nina Foundry being the expert in lids, they were able to use our technology with their technology for this new application that the customer brought up.
Hmm.
So it's always changing. You always have to be listening. And one of our core values is always being there and always listening and to be that reference brand within the critical infrastructure industry.
No, yeah, yeah. It must be an exciting time for you all as technology is evolving and changing so much, and having those opportunities to provide those solutions to folks just by listening and understanding their needs.
Yeah, for sure. And we have the power of Asa Abloy, at our fingertips. ALCEA being the critical infrastructure brand for Asa Abloy, we have the availability of, making connections within Asa Abloy. So when it's an internal, brand and they need product that is, Asa Abloy branded, we can help make the connections, connecting the dots, as we like to say at ALCEA, and then even being a good citizen in the ecosystem of security, reaching out across the aisle and talking to either competitors or other, integrations, whether it's a deep layer integration or a level interface. We're willing to go that extra mile for the utility customer.
Okay, okay. Kind of want to shift to a more specific challenge for utilities. Obviously, lot employ contractors to come in and out of their facilities and infrastructure. Can you talk a little bit more about what LCO does to help with that element?
Sure, sure. When you look at our core partner product with our electromechanical or Bluetooth locking devices, we have the ability to create visitor credentials, visitors, contractors, contract employees to be able to come in at certain times and those types of things. But that's kind of the common, industry type thing that we offer with our unique ability with our locking solutions. So that's great. But as I was talking before with the power of Asa Abloy, we are fortunate to have another internal brand called BioSite and CrewSite, which are in our same division, Global Solutions, and we share the same co-located office of Plano, Texas. And they are the experts in that contract, employee, visitor type, employee data. Should Curtis be at this work site at this time? What his, the employment history, those kinds of things. And they're the experts and we're able to reach across or internally reach across the aisle and say, hey, our customer has this need. Can you come in and do a four-legged call with this customer to really listen to them and see if this is the solution that, or that your solution will provide, what they need.
Hmm.
So that's exciting. So I would definitely check out for the listeners here, Curtis, is BioSite. They're great people. That was a purchase that was made, I believe, 3 years ago, and we're in the same division. Again, connecting the dots, putting people together, shaking hands, kissing babies, as they say in the utility market. That's what we're doing here.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, oh, I don't have a really good transition for that, but I'm gonna say I flew from Chicago wearing a winter coat, and now we've come from a very frigid winter and now we're heading into summer hurricane season. The climate continues to get a little more extreme. So, looking at security solutions from LCA's perspective, what are some guidelines or recommendations you might want to provide?
Yeah. So, Curtis, when you look at extreme weather conditions that happen, you look at our hardware side of our offering. We partner with Abloy for locking solutions, whether it's a padlock or some sort of mortise lock or, door lock. Um, they are able to survive and live in those critical infrastructure businesses that have exposure to those extreme weather conditions, especially most utilities specifically are in unmanned substations, things that are, unmanned boxes, locking devices, things that need, unmanned security, and they need to work all the time. So with our partnership with Obloy, we're able to provide the best in class. So whether you're in the floods of the Mississippi, you're in the extreme cold in Chicago in January, where our locks are being used outside, whether it's at the Navy Pier, where we have hundreds of locks, or throughout Chicago Metro, or a utility like ComEd. Our locks are going to perform in the cold weather, the hot weather, rainy weather,
Mhm.
you know?
Yeah, definitely, something to keep top of mind as things, get more extreme over the years. Now, transition to some financial, topics here.
Mhm.
Yesterday, news came out about new tariffs. This has kind of been a buzz I've heard throughout the ISC West floor. People
Sure.
kind of talking about that. What is LCA's perspective on this news? How are they going to respond to continue to provide value to it?
Yeah, I mean, we're a hybrid division of ASA Abloy. So we're in that vertical market of critical infrastructure where utility is a huge vertical within the critical infrastructure industry. So we're very concerned. We're very in tune. We communicate closely with our collaborative internal brands that we promote, like Obloy, Keeper, those different types of companies that we work with for these types of projects. And then also our own technology, like the Allwin Total Solution software package. We have to be very keen on, what's going on. So we are unfortunately passing along a surcharge to the customers that are out there. I believe it's 3%. And that started today, and it's a real thing. So hopefully at some point, it'll resolve itself. But it is something that we're very cognizant of. We're aware of. We're communicating to our customers about this, and being a global brand or a global marketing effort, from ALCEA, dealing with customers all over the world. This is very complicated.
Yeah, yeah, and hopefully, I mean, the news changes quite a bit on this too, so I'm not sure where it's going, but
Yeah, we're
hopefully.
not in the business to,
Yeah.
continually give, price increases and unneeded types of things. But I believe there was an article a few weeks ago by our CEO that was talking about some tariffs in Canada, and I think he was quoted as saying that prices would have to go up. I mean, it's a real thing. I mean, we can't just absorb this. So it's a real thing.
Okay. All right, well, to wrap up this podcast with continue the conversation about change, but maybe more positive silver lining version of a change, which is, technology is evolving very quickly, as I mentioned earlier in this podcast. What are you most excited about when you think about security for utilities? About the changes of solutions and technologies and everything that's out there. What makes you excited about it?
Yeah. This may be kind of a, hopefully you've listened to this podcast long enough to hear this last question and hear the end. But I definitely think that it's an interesting question. It's probably the most exciting for me, because as somebody that does press the flesh and faces customers quite a bit, um, I I believe the industry has raised the floor, raised, the bar here with the people, and the people is what's core to the critical infrastructure business and to the utility business itself. And I think that the people are more aware of the needs to have higher security. They're more educated. Some people have gone through bleeding edge technology over the years, whether it's with digital cameras to IP cameras to all these different things, or access control, where you were spending $5,000 a door and you had to create a whole door in a building or a hut or something before you could get into a place, where now you have technology that alleviates this extra cost. But you may have to be a little more intelligent and understanding of what your business case is, what your needs are, and then be able to translate that or verbalize that and bring in the right people. but then the right people are out there saying that we're here. There is a division from ASA Abloy called ALCEA that is actually saying, hi, we're here to help you. We're not here just to sell you the things that we think you need. We're here to listen to you and provide solutions that you want.
Hmm.
And that's what's really cool about this industry. As being somebody that's been in the industry for 30 years, I see that we're not really just going out there and preaching to the crowd. You're really getting interwoven into the industry. You're living together. You're doing proof of concepts. You're winning battles. You're losing battles. You may have to give up something to a competitor, but it's not just on price. And that's the really cool thing too, Curtis, is that I've noticed a lot of tenders these days don't necessarily focus on price. They give percentages on, does this meet our requirements? Will we be able to be successful deploying your product in this application where, was a period of time that price beats all. And that's what the US market had really always been kind of thought of as very price sensitive. But, things that work in Festus, Missouri don't necessarily work in Chicago, Illinois.
Yeah.
But quite honestly, in Festus, Missouri, they probably have better technology because they can budget for things and listen, where when you look at Chicago, they don't have any money.
Yeah.
And they've got problems. So the new technology or the things that are needed in the areas that need it the most can't afford it. So that's where I think some of these areas should learn from some of the smaller utilities or smaller critical infrastructure areas and understand that we really want to get a product or a solution that's really going to work for us.
Hmm.
Whether you're on the ocean, by a lake, in a desert, in an unmanned application, in a crowded substation in downtown Chicago, on Orleans and Hill, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, it really kind of depends on the market, the manufacturers to wake up and listen, because these utilities are getting smarter. They've really elevated themselves to really, understand technology and understand their application.
I mean, it's a great thing to hear that, solutions focus is taking priority over the price focus. And, that's really what you need to do as a security professional.
Yeah, if you buy the wrong thing because it was a hot price or something like that, then you may be replacing it
Yeah.
down the road and go, "Oh man, we shouldn't have went with this. We should have went with the better stuff, even though it costs 10% more." You're gonna pay for it later and you're just junking it or
Yeah.
replacing it, and that's the thing is, like, when you dollarize like I do, in life and in business, your time's very valuable.
Thank you so much, Jerry, for your time. Thanks for taking up time. Yeah, I really appreciate your time today. And tell the folks where they can go to reach you and learn more about ALCEA.
Yeah, the website, alcea.com, and here locally in the United States, we're down in Plano. You can look us up on the web, email us. We'll get in touch with you and, you know, go from there.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, man. All right.